On the customer cycle, we just want to think of it by cycle. We can say, okay, the most easy customer cycle, we just get paid in gig work by like YouTube or whatever, because we're a YouTuber or something. If that was the case, then we could just use the deposit form through the bank feeds to record revenue. But if we're at a cash register, we probably want the internal control to verify the cash register. So that's going to make things more complex, even though we're still on a cash-based method. If we have to invoice the clients first, we're going to have to enter the invoice, then receive the payment, then record the deposit, which is going to be more complex. If we have to have an estimate, we'll have to tack on the estimate that we can use to create the invoice. And if we have inventory, we're going to have to first purchase the inventory, and then when we make the invoice or sales receipt, if using a perpetual inventory system, that will not only record the increase in revenue, but decrease in the inventory. And if we have to deal with taxes like sales tax, which is a type of usage tax, once again, the invoice and sales receipts are going to become more complex. And then, of course, payroll is going to be an issue in and of itself. Do we want to do that within QuickBooks, outside of QuickBooks? We have to pay more for it either way, in which case we're going to have a whole payroll cycle that we'll have to deal with, paying the employees and then paying the payroll liabilities at the end of the year, dealing with the W-2s, W-3, 1099s, the 1040s and 1041s. So when you're imagining the processes that you're putting together, you want to imagine them not by dates per se of every single transaction, but by cycle. And then think about what's the most efficient cycle that we can put together. We'll look at each of these cycles individually. And then as you're thinking about the most efficient cycle, where do the bank feeds fit into that cycle? As we add levels of complexity, we're typically adding accrual components, which will it'll complicate basically the bank feed usage. So that's going to be our general strategy. And so those are going to be the forms here that are in the drop downs.